I'm Andrew from Ether Automation, and in this video, we're going to continue on the series about building your ERP for your manufacturing company inside Zoho Creator. If you haven't seen the previous two videos, you're going to want to click this link. It'll bring you back to the first one, and that should give you some context as to what is going on. In this video, we're going to be cleaning up some of the, we'll say, layout in Creator. It's kind of hard to explain what I mean by that, so I'm going to share my screen and we'll jump into it. So hopefully this is the correct screen. Otherwise, this will be a short video. So I'm inside Zoho Creator right now, all right? And I'm inside a sales order, and there's a bunch of fields here, and the line items, like it just kind of goes on. And this is the case in a number of places, right? If I go to the work orders, you'll see the same thing, right? We've got these long subforms. We've got fields that we would never want users to fill or interact with. They just need to read it, or sometimes they're just background fields. So in this video, I'm going to show you how we're going to clean these things up. We're going to style a couple pages. I'm not going to go through all of them. A lot of them I'll do off camera. I'll probably pick on the sales orders and maybe the work orders page. And then we're going to make a custom report, as well as clean up this side page here, because we don't need a lot of these things to be visible, but they need to be accessible, right? So I'm going to start out by going into the back end, right? So we have a bunch of these fields. We're going to start on the sales orders. We have a bunch of these fields, and a lot of them are not going to be used, right? So if you have a sales order, you're going to need to know the product and the quantity, right? The available quantity when it was purchased. You won't need to modify that. Received products, you probably won't need to modify that. Built products, we don't want users interacting with that. The status they may need to change, right? Or number of items shipped, that might need to be changed. But these other fields, we don't actually want the user to interact with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a workflow. So we're going to create a new workflow, and we're going to create this. We're going to have this on create or edit it. And this is going to be on load of the form. And we're going to call this hide subform fields. And we're going to go into Deluge. And we first want to identify, what do we actually want to hide here? Well, for starters, we don't really need to see this, the sales order ID. We won't need to see these two fields, these three fields actually. We won't need to see them. Some of these other fields we'll want to hide, or not hide, we'll want to disable. So let's start here. Let's define the hidden fields. Hidden fields will be purchase order line item, the work order line item, shipments, and actually all of these are in the sub form. Shipments we don't want to see. No, that's probably good, right? And then outside of the sub form, we don't want to see the sales order ID. So we're going to put in sales order ID. There we go. So these are the fields we're going to want to hide. And then beneath that, we're going to want to disable some fields, as in it will be displayed, but a user won't be able to modify it. So these fields will be disabled. And we'll start with the sub form as well. And when we look at it, available products quantity at time of order, we don't need the user to actually modify this, all right? So available at time of order. The received products and built products, we actually don't need those to be modified as well, because that's going to be programmatic. So received products, built products, and then finally, we're going to have number of items shipped, as well as the order date. We're not going to want to, let's do the order date and the work orders. And then order dates, work orders. So these are the fields we're going to want to hide first. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's start by hiding the normal field. So hide is the command, and then you want to actually input the field name. So Zoho, if I go to refer fields and go to sales orders, the field is Zoho inventory sales order. And let's put that semicolon at the end. And now when I save this, all right, magic of editing, I did this in the wrong module. It's the same code. Now when I save this, boom, this now hides. So when I go to the sales order and I refresh, that field is going to be hidden from view. It still exists on the back end, and we'll use this to sync data with Zoho inventory. And we may actually have it in a report. We'll cover that a little later, but it's now hidden from view. So I'm going to do the same thing down here with the disabling of fields. Disable is the command, and I can do order dates and disable work orders. And now when I update, those fields will be, you guessed it, disabled. The reason these are going to be disabled is that both of these will be programmatically created or updated, and we don't actually want a user to modify these, right? When an order comes in, that's when it was ordered. That was just the date, right? The work orders that are created, all that's going to be programmatic. We don't want a user going and modifying that in any way. But we still want it to be visible in case someone is like, okay, well, what's the work order associated with this? So I'm going back into this, and now let's do this with the subform fields. Subforms operate a little different than normal forms or normal fields. So I'm going to go hide, and then I'm going to enter the subform name, which in this case, we can look over here. It's called line items. And then you go dot, and then you could put in the subform name. So let's go purchase order line items, hide line items dot work order line items, hide line items dot shipments. I'm going to save. I'm going to go back to the form. I'm going to refresh, and now we don't actually have those items on this subform. They're hidden. Now, there's a few in here that we don't want the user to modify. Probably the quantity, the products. Let's go back into this. So we're going to go ahead and disable a couple of these. So disable, and then it's the line items again. Line items dot, and then available time of order. Disable line items dot receive products. Disable line items dot built products. Disable line items dot number of items shipped. Now I've saved it. I can go back here, click refresh. And now when I go and add one, a bunch of these fields are, they can't be modified. Again, on a sales order, this is going to be entirely programmatic. A user may update these if something changes, but this is probably not going to change for a user while they're looking at this page. There may be instances where these things are changeable in work orders or in purchase orders. I'm not going to go through every module on this video. What we're going to do here is we're just going to clean up this view, and then we're going to look at a couple other things. So the other thing you may notice is that there's this scroll. If you're anything like me, scrolling left and right in a subform is going to drive you crazy. So we're actually going to go ahead and modify that now. So if I go into the sales order form, go to line items. So it could adjust with automatically. We could set it as manual. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make this maybe 80 pixels for the quantity. I'm going to make 80 pixels for the available product. Receive product, I'm also going to make that 80 pixels. Let's just kind of go nuts with this 80 pixels thing. So I'm going to click done. And I'm going to go back to here, and let's see if this makes it any more readable. What is this one? Build products. Oh, yeah. 80. Done. There we go. So this is now a little bit more readable, right? And you can modify this how you want. I'm probably going to modify it a little bit off camera so that's a little more viewable. The other thing we can do here is make some of these full width. I don't like how they kind of look in here, like this little itty bitty field. So what we could do is we could make them a little longer, or 2 columns. So let's actually do that now. So let's put the sales order number, and let's make this one field size large, and then let's do the same with status over here, and let's make this one large as well, and this one also large. Now when I look at the page, I'm going to refresh. A little more usable. Let's go and make the work orders large as well. A little more usable. It's a little easier to read. It's less intimidating maybe. So like I said, I'm going to modify some of this off camera. And you'll see in the next video, you can set this the width how you want, depending on your computer, screen size, or terminal size, however you want to describe that. So next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about the navigation bar. So over here on the left-hand side, this is an absolute mess. Looking at this gives me a aneurysm. I feel my soul get eroded just looking at this many tabs over here. So within Zoho Creator, there's this thing right up here. Let me actually highlight that right here. When you're in the design menu, right up here up at the top, called sections. When you click that, this is how that is organized. Right now that's organized, we just said, hey, all products or all modules, it's totally fine. Let's just have all of them. So I don't like that. So I'm going to start hiding some of these. So users aren't going to add a product. We don't actually want to see the sales order line items. And in fact, we can drag some of these up so that it shows up in certain sections. Purchase orders, they aren't going to want to add purchase order line items. Let's hide that. And let's drag this other purchase order line items down here to the purchase orders. And then shipments and all shipments. Yeah, let's put all shipments up in the sales orders section. And then shipment receive, let's put that in the purchase order, and then the purchase received line item. Let's put that in the purchase order as well. And then for employees, you are going to want to add employees. An employee assembly time, that form is not going to be needs to be accessible on the left-hand side, but the report is. Then we have these work orders. So let's go ahead and group some of them up as well. There we go. So I've now kind of grouped these together. I'm going to click X over here and go back into the app. And there we go. Now it's a lot less intimidating. If I want to know about my products, I can see the products and also the bin locations. I got my vendors. These are pretty standard ones. You can look at my sales orders. I could view a report for the sales orders. There's nothing in there right now. Same with the line items and shipments. I can look at employees, see their time log, blah, blah, blah. And then work orders, I could see my stuff for those work orders. Okay, so I've added some test data into the system. So we have this one, I'm actually going to turn this back on. We have this one sales order, all right? If I go and click edit, there's really nothing special about this sales order, all right? However, what I want to show you now is if I go to the sales order line items, we got the line item, we can see that it's ready to ship. In a later video, some of these reports are going to be used to allow management to ship partial orders or bundle a bunch of shipments together, kind of thing. But you don't want to do that with all the line items for every sales order. Probably just the ones that are ready to ship or partially ready to ship. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a custom report here. So I'm going to go ahead and click Edit this application. I'm going to add new, and I'm going to add a new report. And this is going to be a list report. And this is going to be based on the sales order line items. And I'm going to call this ready to ship. I'm going to click Create Report. If I look at this in Zoho Creator, I got to refresh. Always got to refresh. Sales orders, and then ready to ship. Right now, this is showing the same thing as the other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple things. For starters, I'm going to remove the status here. Delete field. I'm going to delete this. And then eventually there will be a button here. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go open report properties. I'm going to add a filter, and that filter is going to be based on the status equals ready to ship. That's it. And so now when I go into Zoho Creator and go to ready to ship, I can see these are the items that are ready to ship. Now, in a future video, we're going to have a button here to create a shipment for these, or be able to select a number of items that are ready to ship and ship them. And it's going to create a package and shipment and, get things moving. In this video, I just want to show you that you can customize some of these reports so that it handles a specific view. This is actually one of the reasons why we wanted the sales order line items to be its own module. Even though it's a subform in the sales order module, we want it to be its own module so that, in theory, if one customer has 3 sales orders and we want to partially ship all of them, we can do that with this right here. We can select a number of those line items, say, hey, let's ship these now, and we'll invoice for them now, or maybe invoice for them later, whatever logic we want. But we can at least see the items that are ready to ship and have some buttons ready to go to automate some of that process. So between this video and the next video, I'm going to go ahead and make a number of updates to a number of these modules that we made in the first 2 videos. And these updates are going to be around hiding fields and disabling fields. So in a later video, if you're ever wondering, hey, where did that field go? It's still there. It's just hidden. You just need to reference this video for how to do this. I hope you found that helpful. I'll see you in the next video.